Welcome to the Gita in Action podcast. My name's Radha, and I'm here with our regular family of seekers. I think we have pretty much everyone here today from our regular clan here, and we have we have a newcomer too. So it's a good day. It's a good day, and we're reading through the Bhagavad Gita verse by verse. We are in such a nectarian part of the Gita right now. We're in chapter 9. Chapter 9 is titled The Most Confidential Knowledge. And this is like right in the heart of the bhakti section. So the Gita's kind of been building up to bring us here to this bhakti section. And it's really beautiful. So today we are going to start with text 3. So chapter 9, text 3, if you want to follow along with us. I'll also flash the verses on the screen so you'll be able to see them. But something that we do here that makes this time together really special is that our live crew shares during the class. So any reflections that they have, or any way that they relate or that you relate, we love to hear from everyone, and that really makes it such like a connecting experience. It's not like I'm just up here teaching or talking the whole time. It's like it's very interactive, and we really get to see how the Gita comes to life in our whole community's lives here, and it's very encouraging and very inspiring. So please feel free to raise your hand or shout out anything during our time together here, and we'll continue on this journey of walking each other home. So before we start, Shakti, can you say our prayers for us?
I'd be honored. I miss it. Om Jnana Timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kara Mayam Datanti Sva Pandatikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Sarvatam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancha Garungi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Prananami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tirubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavembhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Guru Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shakti. So we will start today with verse 3. Whenever you're ready, Stella, if you want to read this verse for us.
Sure. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world.
Great. Thank you. So in the first two verses, Krishna glorified devotional knowledge. And now he's doing something very human and relatable. He's explaining it by describing the opposite. So he's basically saying, if someone doesn't have faith in this process of bhakti, they won't attain me. And without attaining me, they'll stay stuck in this cycle of birth and death. And it's not like a threat, it's just a consequence. He's just explaining the way that things are. The Gita's like a guidebook for us in that way. So when you think about like medicine, If we don't believe that medicine works, we won't take it. And if we never take it, then we won't ever get any better. Like the disease will just persist. And this isn't because the doctor's punishing us, it's just because we never use the cure. So Krishna's telling us here, like the cure of life, the cure to all of our material problems. When we're feeling down, when we're in the midst of family drama, whatever we're going through, the cure to all of this is the process of bhakti. And this is what will cure our material disease. And that's what he's saying here. It's how we exit the cycle of repeated birth and death. Because we all know we're stuck in this repeated cycle of birth and death because that's what we desire. And because that's what we desire. When we leave this body, when our body wears out and our soul is ready for its next destination, we know that what determines that destination is what we desire and what we deserve, right? The result of our karma. So that's where our soul's gonna go to next. But if we desire Krishna, if we desire God, we don't have to keep going through this hamster wheel of life after life after life. Right? We could just go back to God. So that's what he's saying here. And developing faith is how we move towards him. And we talked about faith a good amount here. And it's important to note that when we're talking about faith, it's not just like blind belief. It's not like the expectation is not that you read this and you're like, okay, I got it. Perfect. I'm 100% in. That's not going to happen the first time that maybe you hear some of these things, or even the second or third or fourth time. It takes some time, and it also takes some practice. It takes some practice. Jardana, do you have something to share with us?
Only
Did
at
I
the
say
end
that
of
right?
your wonderful purport.
Okay. Did I say it right? It's Janardhan. Is that it?
Yeah. Have you been practicing?
Janardhan.
You say it better than I do.
No, no, no. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I'll pause here in a second then, and we'll hear from you. I'm excited to hear from you. Thank you for being so brave. So this faith, it's not just that we accept it and we don't ask questions. It's and the faith that we're talking about here is the process of bhakti yoga, the trust that serving God is what genuinely is going to satisfy the heart, and that loving God brings the deepest happiness. So this is the faith that we're talking about. This is the medicine. When we can believe this, right? When we believe that serving God genuinely satisfies the heart and that loving God brings the deepest happiness. And most of us have felt this to some degree. Right? This is why we're here. Right? We've maybe noticed a shift in our lives when we've developed a little bit of a relationship with God. When we've reached out just a little bit, right? Maybe we feel lighter. We feel calmer. We feel more grounded. Right? When we're connected to God. Many of us get off this podcast in the morning and we feel just like we just took a bath. Right? We just feel so happy and clean and peaceful inside and out. But this is experiential. Like we have to take one step towards him, and then our heart responds. So then we take another step. Right? It's something that we're practicing in our lives, and we see the effects, and then it builds more faith, and in that way faith is building. This is how faith grows. If we ever see somebody who just one day is one way and then the next day they're like, yeah, no, now I'm completely this way because I've bought totally in, right? Like sometimes we're a little skeptical, like, how deeply rooted is that? Right? Because we know that real faith, real realization, it takes time and it takes experience. And that doesn't mean that, there's different paces that people go, but at the same time, it's going to take some time, some amount of time. So when we're talking about this faith, again, two things: faith that serving God satisfies the heart, and faith that loving God brings the deepest happiness. When we're talking about this, Prabhupada gives us a really nice analogy in the Bhagavatam. He says, when you water the root of a tree, every branch, leaf, twig, it is nourished. This is really beautiful, right? It's like we're watering the root of the tree, and in that way, every branch, every leaf is nourished. Everything else in our life is we're content with. right? Because we're watering the root of the tree. He also says that when you feed the stomach, every part of the body receives strength. So in this same way, when God is satisfied, our whole lives become aligned. Our relationships, our mind, our purpose, everything becomes nourished from the inside out. This is the process, and this is the promise. Uh, and I was just having a conversation with somebody just this past weekend, and they were telling me that they've been struggling with their job lately. Like they're just not very motivated. Like, I used to be really into it. And I know this person used to be just like super career oriented, and they're not so much anymore. And they were telling me that it's like it's even worse now. It's like they're just not motivated. They can't even get the motivation to do what they know they need to do at work. And they said, I think I attribute a lot of this to like me getting like more religious, me getting more spiritual into my relationship with God, because I just feel like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Like, who cares? And I told this person, we can't think like that. We can't just decide that we're going to stop serving the ego and then nothing matters. It's actually just the opposite. We have to decide that we're going to stop serving the ego, but we're going to serve God. God is going to be the center of our lives. And this is the whole premise of the Gita. Whatever we're doing, however we're working in the world, however we're contributing, if we're raising a family, if we're going to an office, we do it as a service to God. And when we can create that consciousness around it, it can become joyful. Or at the least, it can become more joyful than it was. Like maybe you're still not rightly situated, maybe it's still very stressful, but this cultivating this consciousness around it, where God is the center and we're serving God, you will see a shift in your life. You will see a shift in your life. So let's hear from Janardhan. Where are you? What do you
Haribo.
think?
I mean, I think that was beautiful. In India, Maharaj said, you don't want to be, that love's not in the middle. And if you put Krishna in the middle, you'll be in the love all around, you
Mm,
know? It's going to take time. You said so much good stuff. I feel kind of selfish now that my thoughts from the beginning of that, you know, I almost don't even want to resurrect them. But there's two verses that you're saying that directly correlate. And the first one's 1870, which is, I declare that he who studies the sacred conversation of ours worships me with his intelligence. And also, um, to those who steadily serve me with love, I give them the understanding by which
wish
to
they could
come to
come
me.
to me.
Yeah. And I feel like it's very exciting because to be here, I mean, this is like a super exclusive, confidential, thank y'all so much to even be in this Gita, because that's what we're doing. This is like my goal, right? I'm back home. I'm not fortunate enough to be in India right now. And somehow, some way, we're all here right now thinking about Krishna, hearing, chanting, remembering, blah blah blah, smarnam, kevalam, whatever, And it's really great. And we're doing like the highest, or to me, one of the highest forms, one of the most
Mm,
easily to, I don't want to say easy, smoothest things, right? To read the Gita, kind of like you could do it forever, just a
mm,
little bit. But yeah, thanks.
mm. Thank you. Thank you for being here and sharing your light. It's perfect. And never feel embarrassed or like to share anything, because whatever it is, we've probably have all either been there or are there. And it's helpful to even kind of be vulnerable in that space, because we're all just struggling practitioners. Like it's
Stella
one thing.
slayed the morning invocation. She did such a good job.
Yeah, Shakti. That was Shakti. Yes, Shakti is something else. Yes. Okay, so let's see, where were we? So we were talking about when you feed the stomach, every part of the body receives strength. So in the same way, when God's satisfied, when our whole life becomes aligned, our relationships, our mind, our purpose, then everything becomes nourished from the inside out. And at first this might sound kind of like mystical, like how can serving God make everything else fall into place? Like it's how does this spiritual solution solve all my material problems? How is that actually possible? Is this like magic? And the idea is that it's not even meant to be grasped purely through logic. Like you can't really just like think about it and understand. I'm a logical person. I love a good set of logic. But this isn't how we can understand this. It's something that we have to come to understand through lived experience. We have to try it on. We have to reach our arms up for God. We have to see when that relationship starts to grow how the rest of our life is transformed. Right? And we'll see. Then this Krishna's telling us, we'll see that when we connect with him, we'll feel whole. We'll feel peaceful. We'll feel like ourselves again. I was just teaching a yoga class this weekend, and I was talking about this analogy just came to my mind. Like, we have our phones, and when they get like so crazy and clogged up with stuff, they get viruses, they get all kinds of stuff. We have to like reset them to the factory settings. And this is like resetting our hearts to the factory settings, to the factoring setting. Our original default is that we're connected with God. This is the way that we're made. Our souls are connected with God. We're meant to serve God. We're meant to love God. We forget. We get so many other messages, so many other software packages just layered on, just downloaded. But to speak of like the toxic viruses that then come in and just screw everything up. So we need this. We need to restore to our factory settings. And when we do this, we'll see that everything just runs smoother. Right? All the programs they come back, they run smoother. They're more efficient. Right? We have more clarity. So this is the process, and this is what, again, the process and the promise. And what happens is when we reach out a little bit, when we do some of these practices to develop a relationship with God, right? Then the experience builds faith, and it's steady, it's natural, but it's from the heart. But it's important to know that it happens gradually. Don't expect it to happen overnight, like microwaved food. You can get it in 30 seconds. You just push the button and it's ready for you. Faith takes a little bit more time, just like any other relationship. I remember some relationships that I tried to rush, right? Just because I felt like so ready. And I'm not talking about relationship with God now. I'm talking about like romantic relationships, and it's like you first meet someone and you're like, okay, yep, this is the person. This is the person for me. And then you just like, you try to rush it. You try to force it, like before the relationship is really organically ready. And it almost always ends up in like separation. I mean, that's been my experience anyway. And so we have to give the relationship time to blossom. We have to give it time to blossom. And the other thing we have to be mindful of is when we don't see as much progress as fast as we want to, right? Or if we have some doubts, right? We don't want to let that discourage us too much. We don't want to let that discourage us too much. Because when we start practicing spiritual life, we're like planting tender little devotional saplings in the heart. So these habits like praying, chanting, reading, serving, they're seeds of character transformation. And those seeds do grow, but slowly and quietly. So it's like you maybe start chanting, reading, hanging out with devotees, and you're like, okay, I'm I have all these bad habits. Why are they still here? Why are they still pulling me? Right? Why am I still acting like this? Or why am I still relying on this substance? And we have to understand that these are just little seeds that we're planting, and we have to give them time to grow. And we have to have the faith that when they do grow, they're going to produce some pretty precious fruit. They're going to produce this love for God, love for all beings connected to him. This is going to happen in your garden. But we can't get discouraged if we don't see them sprout overnight. I remember I planted a garden this year, and I remember I planted okra this year, and it didn't grow. It didn't grow. And my husband and I are like, why is this okra not growing? So I went out and I planted more okra, like right on top of that okra. I had like zero patience for this okra. And then all of a sudden the weather got warm and I had this okra like crowding itself because I just like was not patient enough to wait for the okra. So now my okra plant was just something else because it was planted on top of itself. So we have to know it's going to grow. Right? Give it time, continue to nourish it, and have faith that it's gonna bear fruit. And understand that the heart also grows in seasons, not seconds. The heart grows in seasons, not seconds, and it's also not linear. It's also not linear. So it's not like you're just going to take off and then you're never going to deal with all the things are just going to fall off of you, right? These unhealthy attachments, these unhealthy dependencies, these unhealthy behaviors. You're just going to make just beautiful progress and everything's no. It's going to be a little bit more like this. We're going to make some progress and then we're going to see some of the yuck come up. And then we're going to have to deal with it, right? And then we're going to make some progress and then we're going to be surprised. We're going to be like, "Wow, I'm really humbled. I didn't know that I still had this really unhealthy, coping mechanism inside of me that I just can't shake." So this is the process of faith. Expect it. I'm telling you this because we can't let it discourage us. We have to know what to expect. And we can't get discouraged when we don't see the growth that we think should be there happen immediately. Are you guys relating to this? You guys relating to this? You guys have experience with this? Yeah, so instead of when this creeps in, and maybe when these things start happening, we start even having doubts, like maybe this spiritual life isn't as powerful as I thought, or maybe this isn't really worth my time. I'm spending all this time, all this energy in it. I'm just not really seeing much, right? So instead of acting on these doubts, because these doubts will probably come in too, you're probably going to feel like, why isn't this working when it should be working? Why aren't I, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. But so instead of acting on these doubts, Krishna's inviting us to rise above them. He's inviting us to rise above him because the Gita assures us that spiritual reality becomes experiential through steady practice. Even before deep transformation shows up externally, we will feel some shelter, some strength, some clarity. This quiet sense of being held by God. Okay, so these are small but real experiences. And it's like the shade of a growing tree. It's reminders that the sapling is alive and it's growing even if we don't see the fruit yet. So we have to remember the next time our doubt whispers, it's not working, or we have to remember that we're in a season. We're in a season, and maybe not the finish line, but just keep watering the seeds, keep showing up, keep giving God this place in your heart. And know that with patience and perseverance, this garden, it will flourish. And eventually you'll taste the sweetest fruit, this spiritual love that never dies. But just like anything else that's like worthwhile in life, it takes time. It takes time. Yes, Janardhan.
All this talk about sweet fruits, would you possibly share some of the sweet fruits you've tasted that you were patient for through the seasons?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I guess I've kind of had an experience lately. I've always been the kind, like I can be pretty passionate and I'm pretty ambitious. And when a big opportunity comes in front of me, like I just want to conquer it. This is just my personality. Like I love a good challenge. Like I'm just all about that. And I've also always been like talking to myself like I know better. Like I know what's best for me. I know I can do this. If everybody's like telling me it's not good for me, I don't care. And this has been kind of like a toxic trait of mine, to be honest, because I've like dated people that weren't good for me. People will tell me and I'm like, no, no, no. I can make this relationship good. It is or like jobs or like you name it. This has been my attitude. So what happens in this process is that as our ego starts to shed, we start to surrender to the process a little bit. We have teachers that guide us. We have sastra that guides us, and we start to surrender a little bit more to these things. And for me, a big thing that spiritual life has helped me with is to kind of overcome this really strong ego, this really strong voice in my head that's like constantly pushing me into things, often on the narrative that like I'm not enough and I have to prove myself. Hey, that's like the weapon that my ego loves to use against me. So it's just exhausting. And it's been exhausting my whole life, almost to the point of just like complete depletion. So when I got into bhakti and I like, have relationships with teachers and people that love me and, this kind of community.
It's
One, the
given
voice,
some of the validation needed to suppress that inclination to kind of mentally speculate yourself out of the present.
bingo. So that's one thing. That's one thing. And in that, it like you build kind of like a different kind of inner strength that's like softer and more loving. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is I've learned to listen to other things besides that voice. Like I can even kind of quiet that voice, even when it's there. I can kind of just like dial it down and then turn to things that I know are actually nourishing. And I've seen when I've done that, I've really bared the fruits. Like my life kind of arranges in a way where I feel just so sheltered and held by God in a way that's allowed me to really be loving to myself and to others. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. And thank you for sharing all that. Genuinely.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for asking. It's like, the Gita tells us the greatest enemies are often inside of us. Like we're so afraid of everything outside of us, and we feel like, we got to take a stand, and that's not to say that there aren't terrible things outside of us, but if we can conquer, lust, greed, anger, envy, these viruses inside of us, that what unlimited potential we can have to give to the rest of the world. Right? So that's really the work that we're doing here. And as if we all really think, we can all really kind of probably think about a toxic something inside of us. I used to be codependent. I used to be codependent, and I probably still am to some extent. And so when we start to recognize these kind of, viruses inside of us, and this practice can heal us from the inside out, and it will. And it's not like all blissful while it's happening, but this transformation of the heart, it happens, and there'll come a point where you're like, oh wow, I can't even imagine doing that, a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. It's just like over time you see this transformation inside as the soil of your heart's getting like tilled and sowed, ready for this bhakti creeper. And then it plants, and then it's just, what do you think? What do you think, Shakti?
Hey, Krishna, everyone. It's good to see all your faces. I have just yeah. I'm similar to you, but I literally came from. I was at the workshop, then I went to the zonal meeting in Montreal. Then I'm taking a Pilates training. Then I'm taking Shastri training for Bhakti Shastri, and it's like I feel like I can't do all of it, none of it right. I feel like I'm doing it all, but I'm not doing any of it right. And and like my Pilates training finished yesterday, and like they're like, this is the best class we've ever had. And I'm like, yeah, probably except for me. Like that's just like my go-to in my head. It's just like it's never good enough, or I've done something improper. Even like at the workshop that we were at, I just couldn't feel like, I couldn't just be. It took me a while, and because like you were helpful because you were there, you were like just do what you do. Like don't what there's no like and everybody's in a different place. And I met some great people, and like the girl, one of the pujaris, she sends me all of her when she does the temple. She sends me all of her her beautiful the deities that she dresses, and it's so lovely. But I feel right now, I feel exhausted. I
Hmm.
feel emotionally and physically like exhausted. Like I just want to lay on my couch all day because I feel like I overload myself.
Hmm.
It's like why am I taking 4 trainings? And then on top of
Mm,
that, Maharaj wants me to run the Hamilton Center here, which
mm,
is an amazing service, an amazing thing that he even asked me. But it's like I have so much, like I feel like it's like I'm laying down, it's all sitting on my chest, and I just can't get up.
mm,
It's like I can't get like like a breath, and it's like I don't know, it's like something has to give, it feels like, and I don't want any of my spiritual life to give because a lot of that happens on Zoom or happens um, you know, as I make it happen, right? Like as I try and make it happen. Um, so I feel like, yeah, like I just, I try to be the driver and I
mm,
keep forgetting, like, I'm not the driver. I
mm,
am just along for this ride to serve Krishna in any way, shape, or form that he
mm,
sees fit. And so the last thing I'll say is like before I was practicing, or I don't know, it was like 2 days ago, I went down to my altar and I just cried
mm,
in front of like Krishna and Radha and Gaudanitai, Nrsimhadev, and I just cried. And
mm,
I just said, please, like, please let me be someone, let me be your puppet. Let me
mm,
move how you want me to move. Let me just help me because I know that that will make me happy.
mm,
I don't know why. Maybe this is what he wants me. This is maybe he's teaching me. Maybe he's and not a bit, not like he's teaching me a lesson, but maybe it's like something he wants me to see. I don't know. Maybe I am
mm,
already doing it, but I don't know. It's just like I feel so, when I get overwhelmed, I feel lost.
mm,
And so I feel like just like, what am I supposed to do? That's like
mm,
how I feel right now. And I feel like I feel like I should know. I feel like I should know what I need to do. And so it makes
mm,
me feel like less than like you should know what you need to do. You're taking
mm,
Shastri. You should have to study the nectar of the you have to like it's just like no, like what do I need to do to please Krishna? Not like what do
mm,
I need to do to get an A on Bhakti Shastri? What do I need to do to please
mm.
Krishna? And I
Yes.
feel like it's just been really like I've been on this bumpy road lately.
Mm.
It's really yeah, it has me like shaken.
Ah,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. Because our original factory settings is the language of love. Like we are going to flow with the current of love. That's the way we're programmed. We're souls, we're part of God. We connect with God, we flow with love. But what happens is over time, we adopt all of these narratives, all of these stories, all of these things we have to do to be good enough, or the comparative game, or whatever it be, that we get kind of lost. We get kind of lost, and we don't even know what we're chasing anymore. We kind of forget that the real happiness exists in connection with God, exists in service to God. And when we get into that current of love, we're swept up and we feel it, but then we like don't know how to get back to it. But over time, this practice will teach us. It will teach us when we have to say no so that we're swept in the current of love. It'll teach us when we have to say yes so that we're swept in the current of love. Because over time, that current will be stronger than the ego pushing against it. But in the meantime, it's tricky because we're kind of like sometimes we get caught up in the waves and we don't know which way is which. But what the Gita is telling us here is that if we stick with the process, if we stick with the process and we have faith in the process, we will get swept back up by the current of love to bring us home.
I just
We
want to say
will.
it feels like I'm in the ocean. I'm in the ocean and and a wave came through. I'm like, ha ha ha, the wave came through, and you're like, when you jump the waves or you dive the waves, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, where's the top? Like I feel like and that's what it feels like I'm in the
Mm,
ocean, but I'm like, how do I get out? How do I get the air? How do I get up?
yes.
That's what it feels like, you
And
know?
sometimes that's what it feels like. Sometimes that's what it feels like. And it's important for us to feel that so that then we know when we're in the current of love. Because, I mean, that's exactly what happened to me the past couple of weeks. Like, I had this really huge opportunity that my ego really wanted to take. But all of my teachers were telling me, I think it's better that you serve in this capacity. And usually I wouldn't be able to hear that because my ego is like, no, I'm doing what's biggest, what's best, what's, most visible, whatever it is. And when I heard that from my teachers, I actually felt a little bit of relief, like, oh yeah, okay, actually, I don't even know that I want all of that. I don't even know that I want all of that. And it was like peaceful. And I think Veda asked me, okay, like, how do you feel now? And I was like, I feel like there's just more space for the current of love. And that if I would have taken that opportunity, it would have been a tough one. And there would have inherently been less space for that. And your teachers know that. A lot of times, like your teachers are up here, they can see what you can't. Like they see which way things are flowing and they see you and they can help us with that. And we just have to learn to have faith in the process. Because if that's what we want, if that's what we sincerely want, is to be swept up by the current of love, it will happen for us. It will happen for us. And Shakti, it's there's like zero doubt. It's amazing that you're feeling like you're all kind of getting pushed around right now. That's great. That means that it's coming for you. And I know you're so sincere that it will just pick you up. So
I
amazing.
posted a picture for you really quick,
Yes.
Shakti, on the chat. I hope it's not too distracting. How do you?
Oh, huh. Amazing. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Stella, what do you think?
Yeah, this being one of the older people in the group, and I've been trying to practice since 1989. There's definitely seasons, totally. All your stuff doesn't go away. And from like uh practicing that long, it always allows the further you go, it allows you to pause more and make better decisions. That's what I found was that um I used to be very, very anxious just because I had kids and like there was my heart walking around outside my body and there's danger and and it was often very hard to control that anxiety about just being a mother and having all the stuff to do um and I think my practice really it took a long time. I mean, my kids were actually grown before I was able to listen to them to where they were like, please don't be so anxious, you know, about me. And it was like, that's when I started to, really examine um, the idea of trusting God, like it was, and it took all those years of practice, I think, for my heart soil to be, soft
Fertile.
enough to actually say, wow, that's actually a trust issue. It's not an issue about danger in the world. It's actually, do I trust Krishna? It's his kids,
Wow.
not my kids, And it took a really long time. And I also have depressive symptoms sometimes. I've experienced depression in my life, and there's distorted ways of thinking, like taking things personally or catastrophizing. That this practice has really helped me to recognize that when I'm starting to do that.
Mm.
Because, my teachers were saying, don't over endeavor. like
Mm.
in anything, in your anxiety. And it's taken a long time, but I think I'm just saying, hang in there. And a lot of this stuff is is stopping to say, am I over endeavoring? You
Mm.
know, am I over endeavoring? Is this coming from me, or is this really like um, a moment to trust? And I've found over time that the less I over endeavor, the more space I have to recognize when love is happening, the moment when love could happen, that I can remember to trust, um, do my duty, but trust in
Mm.
Krishna. And that takes honking years. I mean, years for me. Maybe some, but here I am at 65, and I've been practicing since, my 30s. And it does, the garden does grow. I'm not saying I'm anywhere, I'm really still far, but when I look back, wow. And there's nothing else in my life that's done that. Putting Krishna in the center of our marriage just made it bloom. It spreads across to other people. We have so many, we're academics, and we have so many young people who look up to us, and it's like, why? Because we've done that. And you don't even have to do anything. It just exudes.
Mm.
And they see, the calmness, the like, all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Now I'm rambling, but hang in there.
It sounds like, Stella, that those things in your life that kind of tested you at the time were also the things that kind of forced you to progress in your relationship with God.
Yes. Yes, totally. Yes,
Yeah.
totally. And that's the thing about Mother Kunti saying, let these disasters come again and again. And I'm not saying
Hmm.
like disasters, but those can be little disasters,
Right.
like letting your anxiety just spiral so much that you're lost,
Mm.
or you're over endeavoring so much that you don't have time to fill your cup.
Mm.
Um, those are disasters, that can, if you think of Krishna, can really ask to take shelter of him.
Mm. Perfect. Wow, thank you for sharing all of your wisdom with us, Stella. We're so lucky to have you.
It's just the school of hard knocks.
Wow, thank you. Aaron, what do you think?
Um, I was just thinking, yes, this so much wisdom has been shared. And I just am like wondering, if it takes so long because, you know, it's if it's premature, it's false. Like it's not real. Like
Mm.
just to pretend that you're not anxious does not remove anxiety, right? And it's like it really takes all of those tests, but also like all of those realizations, and then the next test, and bringing those realizations with you, and then the test changes, right? And like, and it's like unfortunate in a way because I feel like we want to like wash our hands and say like, you know, I want to just trust. I want
Mm.
to just surrender, but it's clearly not so easy.
Mhm.
Um, because I think, if it were so easy, it wouldn't be real. Like it wouldn't
Mm.
it wouldn't be like actual true trust or true surrender. And I really love like the advice you gave to your friend about their career.
Mm.
Um, I was actually, when you were sharing it, I was like, uh-oh, where's she going with this? But it's such good advice, like, because I feel like it's really easy for us to be like, oh, that's material, whether it's, career or relationship or family or um, anxiety, and just be like, that's material. I'm not gonna like concern myself with it anymore. But it's still real and it's still,
Mm,
and like just pretending that it's not, I think is what keeps us stuck, right? Like it keeps us repeating that same pattern and we're
yes.
just pretending that like we're past it. And I think like, yeah, I guess it just takes the years.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's a quest. It's like an adventure. You
Mm,
know, like I don't know if you've read The Lord of the Rings, but like if the hobbits in the Shire just pretended all that stuff wasn't happening, they would have been overrun. But they took the courage to go into a real up and down journey. And they, you know, it's a quest. It's like life becomes a romance. And I don't mean, you know, boy girl romance. I mean a romance in the old-fashioned sense, an adventure story. It's a quest.
mm,
And it could, you know, like that idea of chivalry and all that kind of stuff. It's like, you know, get on your horse and go out, you know, like into the forest. You don't know what's
mm,
in there, you know. You can't pretend the dragons to slay aren't in there, you know. And if you can be brave, it's a very wonderful, satisfying life.
mm. Yes, I love that. I love this real conversation. So there's like nothing more dangerous in spiritual life than faking it. Because it's like one thing to fool others, but then to fool yourself, you're never really gonna get through whatever it is that you're trying to go through. One of my best friends, she's really devotional, is like has like such a pure bhakti heart. But she struggles with like vaping or like even like, some other substances sometimes. And I love her so much because she's so like real about it, and she's like, I know that this is where I am right now, and I know that Krishna's going to take me somewhere else one day. And I'm trying my hardest right now in the moment, and she'll struggle with it. Like she'll stop and then sometimes she'll start again or, but it's like she's just so real. And because of that, I just have so much respect for her. And I know that she's very advanced because she's so sincere. And it's that sincerity that really makes the difference between someone who's advanced and someone who wants to be. And regardless of what's going on the outside, it's like if we can be real with ourselves and stay in it, like, not let the fact that you're vaping here and there make you feel like you're less than or you can't keep up with spiritual life or, just like stay in it, fight the fight and trust that Krishna will get you out of it. I mean, that's real faith, right?
I wanted to do two things. I want to share something, and then I want to read Mariah's
Oh,
comment.
please. Thank you,
Um,
Shakti.
but yeah, I mean, that's like, I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not pronouncing that Sanskrit verse right. I got to listen to it. I got to stick it in my head and listen to it over and over again. So when I say the prayers, they sound like Sanskrit scholar. I'm a
Yeah.
Sanskrit scholar. And it's like, what? Like, I'm not a Sanskrit scholar. Like, I'm just trying to keep my head above water, And it's like, and that's what I love about you is that you see you see me. You see my heart, you see my intention, and I'm not perfect, and not that you're perfect or anyone else is perfect, but like those are the people I want, those are the devotees I want to be around, because how do I
Mm,
grow into a devotee? And I just realized, Stella, my son is coming home and he's changing colleges and all of these. When you said kids, I just realized like he's deciding he wants to move to a different college. He might come home. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, is he going to be okay? Is he having problems at the college? Like I start going into this whole spiral, and that's also got my mind crazy. So yeah, I'm grateful so much for this group, because I feel like it's okay to say the prayers exactly how I say them.
mm,
Like that's how I say them, and they're beautiful, and they're prayers, and they're to Krishna, and he knows my heart. And so yeah. So but I want to share what Mariah wrote, which I thought was so
please
beautiful.
do.
Um, I love all the shares. Thank you all so much. I don't think the goal is to not have anxiety, fear, etc. It's acknowledging I have it, and then asking Krishna, please, please help. Krishna, please be with me. I can't do anything about these fears and feelings other than to depend on you, my Lord.
Wow.
Somebody else wrote they're having a rough morning and that we're helping so much. Janardin shared something. I don't know if I'm not going to read everyone. But yeah,
Amazing.
that's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
And that is really it too. Like that's the point of this practice. That's the point of these experiences in life that bring us to our knees, or it's just to give us the impetus to look up, to go deeper, to reach out and and develop a relationship with source, because that's ultimately, like Mariah said, what's gonna get us out of it. And in the meantime, just fight the good fight and know what exists for you and at the finish line, because you will get there if we just keep trying every day and don't get too hard on ourselves when maybe we get home, and we're having a tough day and maybe we lose the fight. Maybe we, get out our, what do they even, I don't know what they are, vapor thingies, whatever it is. Just put it away and the next day get right back up, get back on that horse and fight the good fight again, because you'll get there. Yeah. So nice. So, um, so why is faith essential? Faith's essential. Faith's essential because this devotional service, it's not just external. Like we talked about, it's not just about chanting or reading or serving. Because if we're doing those things with a heart full of doubt, the mind is always second guessing. Eventually, the externals are going to go away. Like we're not going to be able to sustain a practice like that. So we have to be doing it in the right consciousness. And that's almost more important than what we're even doing externally. And because we see that we're all, I think Aaron kind of alluded to it too. If people are just going through the motions for a while, but if they never address their inner doubts, if they never address their inner demons, they're going to drift away. Those things are going to pull them away. It's inevitable. We can't just be like going through the motions, or they're going to be empty. So, so faith is the heart's involvement. Our heart has to be involved. And if it's not, then the practice is going to become dry. So this is why a heart full of faith, is more important than like going through the motions and doing it perfectly. It's like better to be imperfect and trying and struggling than to just be going through the motions, doing it perfectly. Oh, and I should say, without heart. Going through the motions, doing it perfectly without heart. It's like ultimately, it's not going to be sustainable. So how do we increase faith? We increase faith by just like muscles, when we go to the gym to exercise them. We can grow our faith muscles. And we can do these things. We all know some things we can do to increase faith, right? We can study scripture. We can associate with devotees, people that inspire us, people that support us. Right? We can be in kirtan, prayer, service. It's seeing Krishna's work in our life, even in small ways. Right? These things are like little spiritual confirmations, and they strengthen our trust. And we can hang out with people that have faith. This is huge. This is like super huge. If we hang out with people that have faith, we'll see that we can get our faith from them. It's pretty unbelievable the way bhakti works like this. So this is faith. Wherever you are in your faith journey, it's perfect. Right? Just allow it. Just be where you are and pray, like Mariah says, to to take those next steps. Whatever that means. Whatever that means for you at this time in your life. Maybe it means giving up meat. Maybe it means praying more often. Maybe it means going to bed early so you can wake up for sadhana. Once we have complete faith in these things, complete faith in this process, these things won't be hard. Right? We'll just want to do them. that'll be it. We'll see how beautifully our life transforms, and that's what we want to do. But there'll be some time before we get there, and in the meantime, stick to where you are. You know, do whatever you can do wherever you are in good consciousness. It's so important, and pray for Krishna to take you further. And I think we'll just stick with this one verse today because this was a really powerful discussion. And we're actually entering into another section with the next verse. So, does anybody else want to share today? Anybody else want to share that we haven't heard from? I think everybody that is on camera has shared, and those are usually the people I pick on. Oh, besides Meg. Meg, do you want to share? No. No problem. Anybody else? What are you thinking, Janardhan?
I'm just in I'm just in awe at all these devotee ladies. I almost feel guilty being here with all of y'all. Thank you so much for sharing this with me. I a lot of times am externally motivated, like a lot of people. I To do something, right? Okay, you're talking about faith. To actually, faith to me is important because in order to actually have an impetus, right, these seed desires, faith is one of the main things that will lead you to Krishna because it's not in your tangible world.
Mm,
He's not in your daily actions. So how do you actually motivate yourself to do stuff? Well, there's four kinds of people that come to Krishna if
mm,
you're lucky enough to be pious, right?
mm,
So faith, realizing that everyone has faith in their car, everyone's religious when you go to Christmas and Thanksgiving. But little things like this, when you said, oh, should we do it on a holiday? I was like, yes, Thanksgiving. I don't have to wonder what Thanksgiving about. Of course, I celebrate with my family, but it's about Krishna. Maybe my
mm,
deities will, you know, be pleased seeing this, after all the shenanigans they've watched. So faith is like in my car. It's in the fact that I actually don't have a car this month because I went to India and, Krishna
mm,
will, maybe it's not meant to be. So faith is all these different things. And having faith for me is the impetus. And my guru, Dave, ce- cemented the fact that I don't have to rely on my ego and I don't have to wonder
mm,
if it's right or wrong. The same way my mom don't agree with everything she says, but it's in my best interest seeing things past what I can see.
mm,
So all of this is faith. And I can also, you remind me a lot, or I see a lot of my habits, right?
mm,
In you. And like, I was actually not thinking about what to say. I was trying to listen. A new skill I want to cultivate, especially
mm.
in this new environment with all these woke peoples here. So I appreciate everything y'all had to say, and please be tolerant as I learn to listen. But thank you for asking.
We appreciate you, Janardhan. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. And I thought of one person I wanted to pick on also. Is Kalachandji there? Because we haven't heard from him this class.
Hi, Bob.
Oh, please share some wisdom with us before we leave,
Oh no,
Kalachandji.
I just like what you said. You talk about faith, and you said faith in the process because it's true. It's hard to have faith in things beyond us sometimes, and we might feel like, oh well, we have to have faith in order for the process to work somehow. But faith is the hardest of all. So sometimes all we've got is the process.
Mm,
And if we can have faith, like you talked about medicine, that medicine, you said, I like that. Like if we don't have faith in it, we won't take it. But if we're prescribed a medicine by a doctor we have faith in, we take the medicine anyway, and the medicine works whether we have faith in it or not. So I like that, having faith in the process and having faith in our teachers. Thank you.
yes. Having faith in the people that have walked before us and that we've seen this process work on, and we say, wow, okay, I want to be like that. What kind of medicine did you take? Yeah, give me some of that. Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Anybody else
Yeah,
before we end for
can
the
I add
day?
one thing?
Please.
Just when you just said that, it's like what kind of medicine you're taking. That's like what Shrananjali, what Stella said before, that people like they see you and they're like, well, why are you so happy? Or what's motivating you? And you don't have to preach to make that happen. It's just to be you. So thanks.
Yes, exactly. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here and for being here with whatever amount of faith you have. Maybe like a little peanut size or, maybe like a whole trough full. But whatever amount of faith you have, we're doing what we're doing and we're trying to make progress. Closer and closer to Krishna. That's the goal. So thank you all. Thank you all for being here, walking this journey together. And I'll see you all on Thanksgiving. See you all on Thanksgiving. Maybe we can have like a little gratitude circle too and share what we're grateful for. Do you guys do that at Thanksgiving tables? We used to. Let's do that. Let's do that here. Let's all kind of meditate on that this week and come together and share on Thanksgiving. Is that okay? Can we do that?
Love it.
Okay, great. I'll see you all on Thanksgiving. Thank you so much.
Thank you.